All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm getting 12:30 my time here, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for joining us today as we continue our hurricane briefings over Hurricane Dorian. Um, so this is kind of the situational overview right now. Our main change from yesterday is Dorian's track has shifted eastward by quite a bit, and the center of the storm track is now forecast to stay offshore of the Florida and Georgia coastlines. It's a little bit more ambiguous as we get a little bit further north, but for now, at least the center of the track is now staying east of our shoreline. Impacts to portions of north and central Georgia appear to be limited, at least at this time, and look to occur mostly within the middle of the week, sometime between Tuesday and Thursday. However, it's important to note that even though the center of the track is offshore, impacts are going to be felt far outside of that main storm track. Where the center of the cone goes. The winds do impact areas much further outside of the center of the track, so it's important to keep in mind. There's also plenty of uncertainty as where Hurricane Dorian will go beyond 48 hours, and small changes to the track may result in increased impacts to the forecast area. So it's really important that even though things are trending good for the forecast area, it's still important to stay vigilant in keeping up with the latest information as we go forward. So this is looking at current satellite view of Hurricane Dorian, which is now a high-end Category 4 hurricane. We have, through the hurricane hunters, received wind speeds of up to 150 miles per hour sustained, with some gusts that are even higher. It is very high-end Category 4 and is expected to remain powerful over the next few days. Right now, some of the ocean temperatures out there do look favorable, that we could see some strengthening. However, with eyeball replacement cycles, as we're expecting over the next coming days, usually that intensity tends to vary a little bit. So at the very least, we are expecting it to still remain a powerful hurricane for the next several days. Looking at the updated track as of 11 a.m. From the most recent update from the National Hurricane Center, Hurricane Dorian continues to intensify and is expected to turn towards the right sometime around Monday to Tuesday. Models are showing increased confidence that the center of the storm will remain offshore from at least the Florida and Georgia coastlines. The center of the track, the forecast track right now is just off of the South Carolina coastline, but it's a little bit too close to say, whether or not we could see some variation there. As the storm does move northward, we are expecting a gradual weakening of the storm, but Dorian is still expected to remain a major hurricane by Wednesday morning, where the track is showing it to be offshore of the Georgia coastline. There is still a pretty large uncertainty as the exact location and timing of the northward turn of Hurricane Dorian. There are still several model solutions that do not show a forecast the northward turn quite so soon. And if it does happen to turn northward a little bit later than expected, we are expecting that we could see that track change to a little bit more what we might have seen yesterday, where it's more parallel in that shoreline. So it's important still to stay vigilant over the next 48 hours to see when that northward turn occurs. So uncertainty still continues to exist for the track, and further changes are likely over the next coming days. As for the threat levels for the north and central Georgia area, the main threats at this point are probably going to be some isolated areas in central Georgia receiving some strong wind speeds, possibly up to tropical storm strength. But overall, for the most of the forecast area, most impact will be fairly limited. And let's go ahead and get into that. Looking at the tropical storm force wind speed probabilities, this is the overall picture of what we're expecting over the next 5 days. Though Hurricane Dorian appears to be staying further east, it is now expected to remain a major hurricane through Wednesday. And again, Wednesday is placing it right along that Georgia-Florida border, just offshore. So portions of central Georgia still continue to have about a 10 to 40% chance of seeing these tropical storm force winds through 5 days, which goes into early Thursday. And this is kind of showing a picture of that now. So these probabilities, where we look at, let's say, the Atlanta metro area, we're barely on that 5% threshold there. But once we start getting into central Georgia, especially areas to the southeast of Macon, those percentages start to increase to, we can see the 10 to 20 there, which includes Macon and Albany. The 20 to 30% chance includes Augusta and Valdosta. And then, at least for our forecast area, far southeastern portions of it are within the 30 to 40% chance of seeing tropical storm force wind speeds in those areas. And again, that's most likely times will probably be sometime around late Tuesday to early Thursday as far as the arrival of those wind speeds if they do occur. As for the expected storm total rainfall, right now this is the overall look of the storm total rainfall from Hurricane Dorian from now until Friday night. You can see obviously the heaviest rainfall totals are likely to be along the coast given the current hurricane track. Looking locally, this is what we're expecting throughout the state of Georgia. And as you see, compared to yesterday, these rainfall totals have gone down by quite a bit and seem to be remaining isolated towards the southeastern portions of the forecast area. So again, this is Tuesday through Friday night that we have on this graphic here. And this subject is subject to change if we do see variations in the track. So a slight more westward track would mean that these values would increase and be pushed further towards the west. However, the heaviest rainfall expected locally right now is expected to be towards the southeastern forecast area with about 2 to 3 inches currently forecast. So again, highlighting some of our main takeaways, the main change from yesterday is Dorian's track has shifted eastward and now stays offshore of the Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina coastlines. Impacts to portions of north and central Georgia appear to be limited at this time and look to mostly occur sometime within the middle of next week, sometime probably late Tuesday to early Thursday. And it's important to note that even though the storm track remains off of Georgia's shoreline at this point, impacts are likely to be felt far outside of that main storm track, so that is important to keep in mind. Plenty of uncertainty still remains on where Dorian will track beyond that 48 hours when we start to see that northward turn. So please stay vigilant. Be sure to continue getting updated information as we go forward until we know exactly where this storm will go. So thank you guys for all chiming in. We do have the handouts for this slide in the Go to Meeting tab. And then if you need to get the slides, they are available at our website.